Pennsylvania! Never mind. Hi kids, I'm Josiah Milky, and welcome to... Jordan? Where'd you go? Jordan! Very funny. Welcome to Disney Animation Reviews. Next week, we have a lot to be thankful for. Disney's new animated movie, Ralph Breaks the Internet, will be in theaters Wednesday, November 21st. Reviews are already pouring in online, and for the most part, they've been very positive. But we've still got 2 more movies to review before we see it, so let's go. In 2015, following the release of Big Hero 6, in 2015, there were no movies from Walt Disney Animation Studios. But there was plenty of stuff to keep Disney fans occupied. Disney Junior launched one of my favorite TV shows, Miles from Tomorrowland, which is now Mission Force 1. Had 3 seasons, ended this fall, but it was fantastic. Check it out yourself if you get the chance. For spring 2015, there was the short film Frozen Fever, which played in theaters with the live-action Cinderella, and there was the Disney Toon film Tinkerbell and the Legend of the Neverbeast, which is currently the last Tinkerbell movie. Disney obviously had live-action films like Cinderella and Tomorrowland, and to make up for not having a movie the year before, Pixar had 2 movies in 2015, marking the first time they released more than 1 movie in the same year. For summer, there was Inside Out, directed by Pete Docter, director of Monsters Incorporated and Up. Inside Out was a box office success, got really great reviews, and won Pixar an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, and also received an additional nomination for Best Original Screenplay. For Thanksgiving 2015, Pixar had The Good Dinosaur, which got positive reviews, but not unanimously positive. Audiences weren't all that big on it, and unlike the other Pixar movies, it also bombed big time at the box office, marking Pixar's first box office flop. In the summer of 2015, aside from Inside Out, there was the Disney Channel original movie Descendants, focusing on the offspring of Disney heroes and villains, which is kind of cool. Yeah. And Disney owns Star Wars now, so for Christmas, Disney had their first Star Wars movie, Episode 7, Star Wars The Force Awakens, which turned out to be a huge hit. Woo! In 2016, Disney Feature Animation returned to stardom with Zootopia, Disney's 55th animated feature film, and this one had a lot of things going for it. Probably the biggest thing was it was a movie about anthropomorphic animals, meaning animals that walk and talk like humans, they walk on their hind legs, they go to work, and that sort of thing. And this was a risky move because the last time Disney Feature Animation did a movie about anthropomorphic animals was a little more than 10 years before this with Chicken Little. And if you saw my review of Chicken Little, you know how that film turned out. Good at the box office, lousy with reviews. Luckily, Zootopia allayed everyone's worries. Zootopia was a big box office hit, making over $1 billion globally, like Toy Story 3 and Frozen before it, getting extremely positive critical reception, and winning an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, as Frozen and Big Hero 6 had done before it. The story of Zootopia, originally, Byron Howard, one of the directors of Bolt and Tangled, Byron wanted to do movies about anthropomorphic animals, having really loved the Disney version of Robin Hood as a kid. He came up with a couple different ideas, and John Lasseter loved them all. But they ultimately went with the one in the movie about a mismatched animal duo trying to solve a mystery. Originally, for a long time, Nick was going to be the protagonist and Judy was going to be the co-star. Nick was a con artist on the run when he was framed for a crime he didn't commit, and Judy, a trained officer of the Zootopia Police Department, was going after him, eventually forced to team up with him to clear his name, and they learned that even natural enemies could be the best of friends. About a year or so before the movie came out, they did a screening for some of their friends at Pixar, according to Disney Wiki. And the Pixar guys, specifically Andrew Stanton, who wrote and directed Finding Nemo and Wall-E, suggested that Judy should be the protagonist and Nick should be the co-star. Because with Nick as the protagonist, and focusing a lot more on the downsides of being predator or prey and always being mistreated because of that, the film is a lot more dark and serious. But put Judy in the spotlight, who had more optimism, and the movie would be a more fun film to follow in terms of the storyline. So Judy ended up becoming the main protagonist and Nick the co-star, and it shaped Zootopia into the film it is today. Directed by Byron Howard and Rich Moore, Byron being one of the directors of Bolt and Tangled, and Rich the director of Wreck-It Ralph, and produced by Clark Spencer, who produced Bolt and Wreck-It Ralph, among other animated Disney features, here's the basic storyline of Zootopia. So the story begins with young Judy Hopps putting on a play for her friends and family in her little town of Bunnyborough, stating that in Zootopia, anyone can be anything. She wants to be a police officer, even though her parents and some of her friends think it's ridiculous. 15 years later, however, she works hard and graduates at the top of her class at the Zootopia Police Department, where she gets to Zootopia Police Academy and becomes part of the Zootopia Police Department. The city of Zootopia, design-wise, looks amazing. San Francisco from Big Hero 6 looked amazing, but Zootopia, you've got all these different kinds of animals. Apparently, though, they're all mammals, so there's no reptiles or birds or fish or anything like that, which is interesting. Anyway, on her first day at the Zootopia Police Department, Judy runs into a bit of a problem as her boss, Chief Bogo, despite the fact that she graduated at the top of her class, he doesn't think she has what it takes, and so he assigns her the job of a meter maid, giving out parking tickets to people who leave their cars in parking spots too long, ones that you have to pay for to have them in the spots for a limited amount of time. But she finally gets her chance to crack a case, when Mrs. Otterton asks for help finding her missing husband, Emmett Otterton. Clearly a play on the classic 1977 Jim Henson TV special, Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. Teaming up with a con artist fox named Nick Wilde, who she met on her first day as a meter maid, we see that Nick and his partner Finnick hustle people and giving them money illegally for stuff they pull off, like having Finnick pretend to be a baby elephant and sell off little popsicles they make from the big ones. Nick is forced to partner up with Judy if he wants to avoid time in jail for not paying his taxes, and the film follows their story as they try to solve the crime within the 2 days Chief Bogo has given Judy to solve the case. Aside from the animation, the city looks amazing. Disney feature animation has really hit its stride in animation at this point. Obviously, the big striking thing about this movie is the relationships, particularly the relationship between Nick and Judy. First off, great voice casting. Nick is voiced by Jason Bateman, and Judy is voiced by Once Upon a Time's Jennifer Goodwin, both of whom did a really great job bringing these characters to life.
Yeah, their chemistry works pretty good. Judy's the bunny with a lot of optimism, and Nick's the fox with hardly any optimism.
Nick reveals through a tragic backstory that he himself was prejudiced, but he came to accept prejudice and decided he shouldn't live anything else besides being what he is prejudiced to be, whereas Judy is more optimistic and tries her best to show Nick he can be more than who he thinks he is. They also have another more great voice cast in this film. In addition to Jennifer and Jason, there's also actors like Idris Elba as the police chief, Chief Bogo, Jenny Slate as Assistant Mayor Bellwether, Nate Torrance as Clawhauser, who runs the front desk at the ZPD. Judy's parents are voiced by Bonnie Hunt and Don Lake, who are old friends. Cheech Marin's old buddy Tommy Chong voices Yax, who runs a club for animals that prefer to be naked, preferably by their classic animal looks and behaviors.
Yeah, that's one reason this movie got a PG rating, because of them being nude.
J.K. Simmons is Mayor Lionheart, Octavia Spencer, Mrs. Otterton, and Alan Tudyk voices Duke Weaselton, a small-time criminal whose name is a play on his Frozen character, the Duke of Weselton.
They even have a pun on that.
That references Frozen within the movie. The last of the main voice cast is pop star singer Shakira, voicing pop star singer Gazelle, who is literally a gazelle named Gazelle, and she's a pop star singer like her voice actress. I think Shakira's probably the only celebrity they cast for celebrity's sake, because she's a pop star voicing a pop star, but we don't care.
Yeah, and her song Try Everything is one of my favorites.
Yeah, Try Everything's the only main original song for this movie, but it's a catchy one. I still don't understand why this one wasn't nominated for the Oscars.
I won't give up, no, I won't give
There's also obviously because this is an animal world, there are plenty of references in there. Not just Disney references to some of their more recent films like Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen, and the upcoming Moana, but also references to real-life places, like Target and Macy's are Targoat and Mousies. You'd have to watch the movie probably 5 or 6 times to catch all the references. I think probably my favorite parody reference scene is when they meet Mr. Big, who's supposedly the most feared crime boss in Tundra Town.
The thing is, this Billy Big animal.
A big polar bear, but he's really a tiny Arctic shrew. And what makes it funny is Mr. Big, if adults will recognize that Mr. Big is a parody of Victor Corleone from The Godfather.
Oh.
I really don't have that much negative to say about Zootopia, other than a bit of a spoiler alert here, but it is interesting that this time, instead of a male surprise villain, it's a female surprise villain with Bellwether, because when Nick and Judy are checking out the missing mammals, at first, from one scene, they think Mayor Lionheart's behind it all, but it turns out Bellwether's the more dangerous villain. Disney feature animation has never done a female surprise villain before this, but even so, with 3 movies in a row now with surprise villains, the surprise villain thing is starting to become a little old, but overall, I think Zootopia is a very worthy entry in the Disney animated features canon. Kids will love it for the cute animals. Well, most of them are cute, some of them are kinda, but
yeah.
And adults will love it for the references, like that Godfather reference, and also the message we can all learn from this movie, that we shouldn't let prejudice or fear divide us. We should accept others just the way they are. Because we can learn a lot from people who are different than us. It's kind of the same lesson that Disney was trying to teach in Pocahontas, but I think Zootopia teaches it a little bit better.
Yeah.
And the music, I mentioned Try Everything by Shakira is the main new song, and the music by Pixar composer Michael Giacchino is fantastic. Disney movies always seem to do really well with their music. This is no exception. So definitely give Zootopia a shot, especially if you have the opportunity to watch it with your family. That way everybody gets a little something out of it. Released on Blu-ray and DVD summer 2016, just over 3 months after it first opened in theaters. Once again, most of the bonus features are relegated to the Blu-ray, including deleted scenes, deleted characters.
Cool.
Characters that didn't make it into the film, in addition to scenes that didn't make it. Quite a few behind-the-scenes features, and a feature called ZPD Forensic Files, where it's a hidden Easter egg featurette on all the little Disney references and other references hidden throughout the film. Big Hero 6 did a similar thing on its Blu-ray. Both the Blu-ray and DVD come with one of the featurettes, Zootopia, a behind-the-scenes look at the making of the music for the film, and a music video for Shakira's song, Try Everything. So that's our thoughts on Zootopia. Definitely give this one a shot for the fuzzy animals, for the kids, and the references that only adults will get. Little something for everyone, so if you haven't seen Zootopia yet, give it a go. We've got one final movie before Ralph Breaks the Internet hits theaters next week, so we're going to go and get the information we need for that one. That's all the time we have today.
Remember, when you wish upon a star,
your dreams come true. Bye!